Hello, hello, and welcome back to another incredible, beautiful read with me session on this amazing book, The Mastery of Life by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., a personal guide to freedom. It's been absolutely phenomenal if you've been joining in on this journey together. Congratulations on continuing. We're approaching the end of this very book and the journey in this book that we're taking together. So that's really, really been amazing and special. And, I hope that you still got your journal with you and, the tools that we discuss on this journey that are necessary, a journal and a meditation space. And if you haven't gotten one yet, there's always a great time to do it. And that can be today and it can be tomorrow. But I'm super excited. If you're just joining us here, we are currently diving into The Mastery of Life by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. as our featured personal freedom book of the month. It's been absolutely life transforming. So much wisdom in here, and just the exercises, the way this book has been laid out is really, really beautiful. So thank you so much, Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. We appreciate you, love you, and I'm excited for you. Let's continue on this journey. I can't wait to continue to hear all the breakthroughs that maybe you have gotten, the different perspectives that have changed your life and has released you from the bondage that you may have been suffering because you felt stuck or you felt like something was just not right. And there's so much truth in this book that I feel like when you just read it, whether you're listening into the YouTube videos and these read with me sessions, or you're reading the physical book, there's just it's so much truth that you feel just so light and free as you continue to just read the words in this book. So it's just a great book to keep by your side, whether it's by your bed, in your meditation space, wherever it may be, in your car, to just always, once in a while when you feel like you may need the reminders or these words and the perspective and the awareness that the words in this book provide, then yeah, definitely purchase the book and continue to have these YouTube audios on hand so you can always re-listen to them. That's something I love to do. Like every single time, I read a book that really speaks to me and I can learn a lot from it, is I don't just read it once. I want to master. I want to continue to repeat it, to listen to it over and over again. And it's different. You may listen to this book, read this book right now, but if you read it next month or you listen in next month, you'll completely get something completely different that you might not have caught the first time around. And the next time, maybe next year, because you've grown, you've done inner work, you just things that you didn't catch, you catch that time around. So this book is not just like it's not what you're hearing right now, but it's like every single time you re-listen to it or you re-pick it up to read it, it's like a completely different book. So with that being said, we are currently right now on we're going to conclude the pyramid of the moon on page 185. We're going to dive into the last exercise. We left off in the last read with me session on the exercise of a day-long reflection retreat. On page 182, where he provided some things of taking, whether if you can take a day of just no technology, no phone, no computer, no, outside distractions, and just take that day long reflection retreat. If you're able to do that, he was mentioning to do it. And he gave some ideas of cooking yourself a meal, being grateful, treat yourself, meditate, go outside, take a nap, take a bath, and just giving us some great ideas that you can catch in the last read with me session. If you have done this already, go ahead and let us know how that experience was. I know some of the most life transforming, life changing days in my life have been on specific retreat. One we did in high school, it's called Kairos. We took like a weekend, I think it was a 3 or 4 day retreat, no phones, just life transforming. Okay. And then I loved it so much and the experience was so incredible that I decided to do it for myself, you know, I don't know, years after that where I did that. And again, I didn't do a phone. I would be able to listen to music though, and no technology. And again, it was just an incredible experience. So I'm definitely excited to do this day long reflection again. It doesn't have to be a weekend, it doesn't have to be 3 days or 4 days, like I just mentioned. But if you can take a day longer, even he mentioned a few hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, um, to do this day long reflection retreat, I'm positive you'll have a beautiful experience. So awesome. So that's where we ended, and I'm going to dive into the last exercise in that particular chapter of the moon, pyramid of the moon. The exercise is saying goodbye. In this exercise, you build a living image of yourself, a vessel to hold the old agreements and beliefs that made up your prior self, and then send the vessel up and into the universe. At Teotihuacan, we create our energetic doubles at the pyramid of the moon and walk with them all the way to the top of the pyramid, where we say goodbye and let them go. But you can do this yourself at home as well. Your journey can be very helpful in this process, as it now serves as a written chronicle of your old self. So when he says doubles, he's talking about your old self and then your brand new self. All right, you can use your journal along with the visualization ceremony offered here to say goodbye to the old version of you and make way for the new. First, find some uninterrupted time that you can spend in a private space. The space you use for your regular meditation can work just fine. Next, prepare your space for the ceremony by adding an element to it that evokes the spirit and majesty of the moon. This can be a crystal or image of the moon. Alternatively, you can find a quiet place outside to perform the ceremony under the light of the moon. Set aside at least 30 minutes to an hour so you can move completely through the full ceremony. Once you have created your sacred space, begin by reviewing your journal. Look at the list you made at the end of chapter 2 and 3. Review your work in the plaza of the mind and the plazas of the four elements. This is the story of the old you. Go through these insights one by one. Remember, your journal is an account of all the ways in which you have created an identity. In a sense, this is your energetic double. Once you have reviewed your journal, close it and set it aside. Settle into a position that's comfortable for you, either sitting or lying down, and close your eyes. Take several deep, calming breaths and focus your attention on the present moment. When you feel relaxed, imagine a seat of light in the middle of your chest, just below your heart at your solar plexus. And you can close your eyes while I'm reading this if you'd like. On every inhalation, imagine the light of the Nawal entering your body, growing brighter and brighter as it does so. See the light filling your torso, your arms and hands and fingers, your legs, feet, and toes, traveling up into your throat and your head. On every breath, this light grows brighter, filling every cell of your being. Once you have taken a few deep breaths and the light of the Nawal fills your body, imagine this light duplicating itself and stepping outside of you. This light now assumes the shape of your body and turns to face you. Picture the light fading to a radiant but less intense glow than your own light. And imagine you can see your features just beneath the light of this double. Take a moment to send a wave of gratitude to this other you. Hold that image in front of you and consider again all the domestications, agreements, and beliefs that you are ready to let go. See them leaving you and entering your double. Next, imagine taking the hand of your energetic double and together turning to face the symbol of the moon in your sacred space, or the actual moon if you are outside. Imagine you are standing together on the top of a great pyramid at night, with the whole of the dark earth laid out below you as far as you can see. Look at the astonishing vault of the starry sky above you. Everything everywhere is lit up with the luminous, silvery light of the moon, which shines directly overhead. When you are ready, release the hand of your energetic double and watch as it moves silently and joyfully up into the sky. Take with it all vestiges of your old self, the agreements and beliefs you no longer need, and are now releasing into the universe to be recycled back into pure Nawal. Imagine as you do that, you feel lighter, refreshed, free, and filled with a silvery, radiant newness. This is your rebirth. This is the beginning of your new life, free and utterly transformed, filled with unconditional love and the artistry of a life lived in accordance with its ultimate purpose. Once you feel this process is complete, come back to your awareness of your tonal, your physical body, standing in front of your representation of the moon. Feel your feet planted on the ground. Move your arms slowly and stretch a bit. When you are ready, open your eyes and look around. The world may not have changed, but you have. Next, I invite you to discard your journal. Doing so is a symbol of saying goodbye to the old you. If you're not ready to part with it yet, that's okay too. For instance, perhaps there is still some forgiveness work you need to do in which your journal may be of help. You will know when it's time to discard it or when it's time to let it go. And that was the conclusion of the Pyramid of the Moon, chapter 9. Beautiful. We're going to now dive into chapter 10, the Pyramid of the Sun. All right, chapter 10. Welcome to the Pyramid of the Sun. Y'all ready? All right. In 1609, Galileo aimed a self-made spyglass at the skies above his home, making a series of observations that would turn the conventional understanding of his time on its head. His curious exploration proved that the Earth was not, in fact, the center of our solar system. Rather, it revolved around the sun along with the rest of the planets, of course. Of course, Galileo's great and redefining gift of scientific truth was met with fear and scorn, and he was placed under the house arrest for the final 10 years of his life. But the truth could not be dimmed. Galileo had witnessed and measured the light of the sun and its reflection onto the planets as they circled. His transformative understanding burned away the illusion of an unmoving earth and paved the way for centuries of deeper knowledge. When you begin the journey of the mastery of life, you are like Galileo. You start in one place, believing whatever you believe. You have no other choice, and this is not a bad thing. And then your curiosity pushes you towards some new information. A little more awareness, you transform. You may even frighten yourself with your discoveries, especially if they run counter to the collective wisdom of your family and your friends. You may also frighten others with your willingness to tell the truth of what you see and know. You may try to shut it all down, to run back to your island of safety, to the comfort of your past identity. But the truth cannot be dimmed. In fact, it exists whether you believe it or not. This is the opposite of a belief or an agreement, which ceases to exist, which stops to exist the very moment that you no longer believe nor agree with it. Once you know the truth, you cannot unknow it. Just as conventional belief once held that the Earth was flat and stationary in the middle of our solar system, your own little self spends much of its early life trying to conform to a version of reality that puts it at the center of everything. Now you have arrived at the massive pyramid of the sun. However, you can shine a light that will burn away this illusion once and for all. As you move toward the close of your journey, you can maintain compassion and forgive yourself for any past judgments, for the identities you accepted, and the ways you hurt yourself and others. You are ready. Step into the life-giving warmth and light of the sun and create a whole new dream. Standing in the light. The Pyramid of the Sun is the largest of all structures at Teotihuacan. Indeed, it is among the largest ancient pyramids in the Western Hemisphere. At the tip of this colossal structure is where the sun and the earth make love to create life. Leading up from the pyramid's base is a long line of steps that reaches up toward the sky, as if you could climb up them to the sun itself. Two sets of steps at the bottom come together in a single wide staircase in the middle, and then diverge again into two parallel and more narrow set of steps. When you make your way to the top of the pyramid and look back on where you have come, you see the pattern of the stairs behind you, the paths from the shape of a person who raised arms as if the sun's brightness cast a massive shadow of a person down the side of the pyramid. This is the modern facade of the pyramid, which has been in place since a restoration project at the beginning of the 20th century that was led by archaeologists Leopoldo Batres and commissioned by General Porfirio Diaz. In my family's tradition, we see the final passage as a beautiful metaphor for what happens here spiritually. This is a place where you reawaken your divinity, where you ascend into infinity. This shadow indicates the way you must follow, step by step, to the summit of the pyramid. To my knowledge, there is no native culture on earth that does not respect and honor the sun. In many ancient cultures, the sun was often understood to be a god or even the ruler of all the gods. And it's no wonder, since we now know through science that the sun is what gives life to all matter in our solar system. Without it, nothing we know as life would exist. That is why the sun and the light and heat it emits is the most powerful physical and symbolic representation of the Nawal available to us. Father, Son. The sun also represents the masculine energy within us, and we can call on that energy whenever we need or want to. But just as with the feminine energy of the moon, we have to be aware of the temptation to fall into domestications about it. We don't get to choose or dictate how this energy moves through us into the world. We don't need to say whether it is good or bad. Just as we all have feminine energy within us, everyone carries masculine energy as well. Some of my associations are the male aspects of playing and competition. There are also other aspects: adventuring, leaping without a net, speaking plainly and openly, building with care and effort, self-focusing on improvements and goals, protecting and setting boundaries. I assign a masculine energy to all of these, although they may be totally different for you. But above all else, it is about creating and holding space for life to blossom. In recent years, when my father has climbed to the Pyramid of the Sun during our journeys at Theo, he has found that he can no longer do it in the way that he could when he was younger, especially after his massive heart attack. On a recent trip, he had to take 3 steps and sit down, then another 3 steps and sit down until he reached the top. He rested and listened to his body, got himself out of the way, and just let intent flow through him, letting it tell him when he was ready for his next few steps. Rather than becoming aggravated or upset, he was able to embrace the truth for him in that moment, that he should not wish for things to be different than they were, that he should not yearn for a return to the past, that he should not fear a future that was yet to come. Just be pure life in action in the here and now. Powerful. His faith in life manifested through the voice of the ally, a mind that was redeemed and healed by letting go of the domestication that distorted it and becomes an instrument by which one can create with awareness. And watching him let go, I could also accept the truth. I saw in my father's actions a teaching for my own life. In that moment, I learned to stop worrying about what could be and instead engage with what was present in order to create my own work of art based on this truth. This is freedom. Faith is setting your intent in something without a doubt, such as truth in action. I'll repeat that again. Faith is setting your intent in something without a doubt, such as truth in action. I am alive at this moment, and while there is life, anything is possible. This is the sun shining its light, burning away the illusion of past and future. Your unique light, your existence in the universe is like a unique ray of light from the sun. Like snowflakes, sunbeams come in infinite variations, and no two will ever be the same. Much of the domestication you receive is an attempt to convince you that you have to change your ray of light or disguise it so that it looks like all the others, to assimilate to someone else's dream. Now, having traversed the avenue of the dead and released the final remnants of your domesticated past into the pyramid of the moon, you are ready to embody the unique sunbeam that is you. Just as a sunbeam emanates from the sun itself, your life comes from the Nawal, and you are the Nawal. You are the energy that animates life itself. Nothing more, nothing less. Now that you know that, not only in your mind, but in your experience as well, you can claim your new life and reconnect with the Nawal inside of you. Your domesticated past may present itself from time to time in emotional reactions or old habits, but these, along with your past traumas and beliefs, no longer control you. You have let them go and embraced personal freedom. In the Toltec tradition, we say that just as the sunbeam carries its message from the sun, you are a messenger and your life becomes your message. Don't confuse this with trying to convert others and push your message on them. However, we don't do that. We don't believe in spreading any one doctrine or attempting to control any other person's life or journey. Rather, we endeavor to have our actions flow from the deep well of the unconditional love that animates the universe. The whole point of this journey has been to cleanse the path for this love to flow through you. Your actions now speak volumes as you choose the life that you want to live and decide how you will fashion the message of your life without a doubt. Because we don't proselytize, some take this to mean that helping others is not a component of the Toltec path. But nothing could be farther from the truth. We understand that there is no real help in telling others what to do. There's no real help in telling others what to do. In the current dream of the planet, that is a trap of domestication, not an offer of freedom. We help others by allowing our actions to be mirrors for them on their own spiritual journeys and by lending our personal power and support of those who are treading the difficult path of the Toltec warrior. In this way, we live in service to others by being in service to life itself. Love that. In this way, we live in service to others by being in service to life itself. When Toltec warriors teach, talk, and even write, all of these are secondary practices to helping others. That's powerful. When warriors teach, talk, and even write, all of these are secondary practices to helping others. The primary goal of how we live our own lives is to do what has the potential to be the most helpful. I have watched this particular dynamic unfold several times between my father and a new apprentice. Some who can't come to our workshops or retreats are very eager to please. They want to validate their experiences, to know that what they are doing is worthwhile and important. Sometimes the way they approach this is to be good students in the presence of the Nawal. And in this stage of their journey, they only understand a Nawal to be a spiritual teacher or guide. There's nothing good or bad about this, of course, but my father recognized it right away when people tried to gather his attention and energy to support the goals of their little selves that their island of safety has shaped, and yet he never mentions this to anyone. He does not point out their behavior or talk about it. He simply ignores the mask that they have chosen to wear or are wearing out of habit. This form of unconditional love from my father may feel like rejection at first, but it's simply an action based in choice not to give any power to the behavior. And through his actions, my father's lessons become very clear quickly. If you are working to release the identity of the little self, he will support you and share his love by paying no attention to the little self's mask. Teaching without words. While words coming from the right intent can certainly be helpful to others, they are secondary tools that are only truly helpful when matched with our actions. For instance, you are likely familiar with the old parental directive to do as I say and not as I do. But this demand is rarely, if ever, effective. We are always teaching our young ones and everyone else with whom we come in contact through our actions. When my children were little, my wife had a habit of cleaning up after them and at the same time complaining about how they never cleaned up after themselves. At a certain point, she realized that her words and her actions were at cross purposes. She could still use words, but she had to aim them differently. She started to experiment to see what would work. Once, when she encountered a toy in the hallway and the children were nearby, she staged an over the top, silly, dramatic fall. Her ridiculous pantomime made the children start laughing. Then they put all their toys in the hall so that everyone in the house could pretend to fall down over and over, yelping and crying and getting hurt. At the end of this game, it was obviously time to clean up together, and so we did. Strangely enough, the children got the message about the toys in the hallway and they put them away. Sometimes to be a teacher, you don't have to speak at all. I have a friend who told me about a woman in his 12-step recovery group for alcoholism. For several years before this woman joined the group, she lived in a neighborhood where there was a well-known neighborhood drunk. The man in question lived alone. There were mountains of alcohol bottles in his trash each week. The grass and plants in his yard grew wild and scraggly. There were broken window shades in the filthy windows, and his dinged up car was always pulled into the driveway at a strange angle. Everybody knew this guy had a problem with alcohol. No one had to say it. Then one day, the woman noticed that the lawn was mowed. The car was straight in the driveway, the windows were clean, and the shades were fixed. On trash day, there were no more empty alcohol containers stuffed into overflowing trash cans. Day by day, week by week, everything about the look of the house and its energy got better. This continued for several years. Then the man died. The woman never met him. But as he was fixing up his home and cleaning up his act, this woman had been spiraling downward into her own cycle of drinking and addiction. When she finally bottomed out, she asked a neighbor what the old neighborhood drunk had done to get his life back on track. The neighbor's answer was simple. He went to AA. It was so obvious. She had witnessed the transformation herself. So the woman turned to AA, where she was helped, and she was led there by a person to whom she never spoke and whom she never even met. She has now been sober for 10 years. The old man in the rundown house had served as a messenger with just his actions. He never knew how far his message reached and the profound effect it had on this woman's life, and by extension, on all of the people whose lives she touched. Your life is the message, page 202. We don't have to talk about the profound teachings we have inside of us. In fact, in many cases, it's better that we don't. At the beginning of this book, I suggested that you let my words go around your mind and into your heart. Yet many people may not be able to do this. In those cases, my words may even become an obstacle because their minds will hear me and immediately put up a wall. For these people, it is better to be silent and let action speak instead. In the end, our actions are the most important message that we share. And we pass on this message by remembering that we are the artists who create our own masterpieces through how we live. When you live as a Toltec warrior, you know that in the mastery of life, you are the messenger and your life is the message. You were domesticated once, but now you have a choice. In fact, the entire Toltec way is about choice. We honor the autonomy of each person's personal power and respect their choices to do what is true for them. And we respect them to experience the consequences of those choices. A consequence is not a punishment, as some might associate it with during their domestication, but rather it is the result of a choice or action taken. In our view, reality itself is knowable only from the individual perspective, the personal dream. And we acknowledge the only one you can change is yourself. This may sound selfish to some, but in knowing this truth and embracing it in the bright sun of unconditional love, you shed your old identity and allow the unbounded self, the Nawal, to emerge and play through you. In this way, changing your own perspective becomes an orientation, a place to begin, not a prison or an obsession. Once the parasite transforms into your ally and you become the artist of your life, you love and respect all of creation. Here at the Pyramid of the Sun, you step into your life as an artist, consciously co-creating the dream of the planet with every other living thing, yet knowing you are only responsible for your own perception. What does this creative artistry look like? Question. For some, it means writing music, choreographing dances, or creating other works of art. It may also mean working with nature, exploring science, or creating new technologies. For others, it may be the work of raising children, maintaining a home, or guiding others on their own personal journeys. For most, it will be a combination of several things. But through it all, the most powerful gift you can offer yourself and others is to extend your unconditional love in all situations, especially when that self-love feels shaky as a result of the voices of the mitote. Remember, no one does this perfectly. The mastery of life is about learning to recognize when fear has crept in and making the choice to return to love. This inner work sometimes dovetails with powerful activism for certain causes. As Dr. Martin Luther King taught, only through an inner spiritual transformation do we gain the strength to fight vigorously the evils of the world in a humble and loving spirit. Whatever you choose to do, your sunbeam will play and dream in its own way. It's up to you. It's your creation, your work of art. Now, go and conquer death by becoming alive. That was good. Let me repeat that again. Now, go and conquer death by becoming alive. Amen. Amazing, 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 amazing chapter here on the Pyramid of the Sun. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Really, really amazing, incredible truth, wisdom that was just shared, and a beautiful masterpiece of art of his words. Just so amazing that it's like really to teach. It's not your words, it's really how we live our lives. And that is the way that we live our lives and our action. That is the greatest teacher. That's the message, is our life's message is the way that we live our life. That's really, really amazing. And it's so freeing. I remember when I listened to the teachings of like, you're not responsible for anybody. Like, you can't change anybody. The only person that we can change is ourselves. And we can get caught up thinking that we have to change this person. We have to change these habits. We have to, especially when you get all this information and it's like, this is amazing. Like, we want to change. But we got to come to the awareness that everyone has their own unique journey, and it's perfect and it's beautiful. And people have to uh, realize the consequences of their own actions, and consequences is not like a bad thing. It's just, in order for me to learn, I have to understand, if I take this action, I'm going to get this result. And so sometimes it's allowing people to make their own decisions, take their own actions. You may not think it's the right action, but as we're looking here, there is no right or wrong action. Everyone unique journey, and they may need to learn from their own actions that will produce a specific result. Powerful, powerful, deep stuff here, but really freeing, because there's no pressure. A lot of times we put pressure on, ourselves, of like, we need to help people and we need to change people and we need to, the only one you can change is yourself. That's the focus. The most powerful gift you can offer yourself than others is to extend your unconditional love in all situations. You are the messenger and your life is the message. And in the end, our actions are the most important message that we share. Beautiful, beautiful chapter, super powerful. Hope you got a lot of value out of this chapter. Thanks so much for investing this time with me. It's been really amazing. This journey has been incredible. And in the last read with me session of this book, we're going to dive into the conclusion. So we are almost done here for this first round of this book, and it's called Journey's End. So I will see you in the next read with me session. Love you. Hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and just breathe in and breathe out, right? Breathe in, breathe out. Congratulations on your personal freedom. We'll see you in the next episode, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care.